Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user EntertainerKey8563. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help a friend who didn't invite me to their wedding? For about 11 years now, I've, 37 male, been pretty close with, let's call him John, 38 male. We met at a job in my mid-20s and were pretty regular company up until the pandemic, where our hanging out, including a circle of mutual friends, has taken a decline but isn't extinct. John and his partner, let's call her Jane, 36 female, have been together for about 8 years now, engaged for a little under 2 years. Both with a child from previous relationships, so they have taken trips with their kids near yearly, and I've been happy to help visit John's, now their home, and check on things, take care of their animals, etc. while they're gone. I've helped them out with other projects, tasks over the years, and most recently picked up Jane from the airport, returning from a work trip, and got her home this past winter during a snowstorm because my vehicle could handle it. Generally, I have been present and helpful on top of our base friendship. Now, about 5 weeks ago, I find out from a mutual friend that John and Jane's wedding is coming up, and invites went out a while ago. Everyone in our circle but me was invited. As a gay guy, I've experienced being iced out of some of my straight friends' lives and events in ways minor and pronounced. But this one has definitely been something that has had me thinking about my time and energy with people. I decided I would take the hint and begin to distance myself. Then, 3 days ago, John texts me asking if I'm around in early to mid-August. I tell him that I am. John then asks if I wouldn't mind visiting like I have before to look after the animals and property. I say, sorry, I can't. He calls to talk about it. We run through the same conversation, polite but a bit tense, so I finally say, I just won't be visiting your home. After a moment of silence, I bring up that I'm disappointed that I appear to be the only person in our group of friends not invited to his wedding. I tell him that I can't be helping like I have before if I'm just a background friend at this point. I wrap up the call positively and sincerely, with me wishing them a good wedding and trip, and that maybe we can grab drinks soon. Jane reaches out 2 days ago, sending follow-up texts saying John is upset about what I said and with her because she made the final calls about friend invites. She said that I am taking this the wrong way. Her point was that there is only so much capacity and that the others in our friend group have partners that took up space. She adds that she hopes I'll change my mind and help them out because it would put John's mind at ease. I know I'm not entitled to the company of others or invitations to anybody's events, but am I wrong for setting my own boundaries in response to theirs? I try not to frame my friendships as transactional, but they obviously want something out of me here despite their not inviting me and then avoiding even bringing it up with me until they needed help with covering their honeymoon. So am I the a-hole? Well, OP, I'd say that no, you're not the a-hole. If you're not friend enough to be invited to their wedding and celebrate that special day with them, then why are you friend enough to look after their pets or their home while they're away in their honeymoon? And my question would be, why don't John or Jane call any of the other couples that were invited to the wedding to do what they wanted you to do? Which, by the way, just sounds like an absolute BS excuse. Yeah, we didn't invite you because everybody else that had a +1 just took up all the space and there was no room for you. Still, we hope you can help us out because we really need it for our honeymoon. Yeah, get somebody else to help you out, man. No. And finally, OP, I have to say, the way that you handled this was fantastic. You didn't make a drama scene or anything. You simply said, you know what? I guess we're not as close as I thought we were, but I still wish you and your bride a happy wedding and honeymoon, and hopefully we can get drinks sometime. Good for you, OP. Being courteous doesn't take away from being courageous. And what do you guys think about OP's situation? What is your judgment? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Hand Knit Mittens says, not the a-hole. This sounds like a really one-sided friendship and that they are taking your friendship for granted. Why would you keep putting time and energy into them? And OP responds, like I said, we've been pretty close up until now, and I've happened to have the availability when they need it often enough, where we've been close enough before that I didn't mind or feel taken advantage of. John's helped me as well in the past, and I try not to hold other people's lives and familial commitments against them, but I was trying to paint a concise picture, given the character limit, of being, I thought, close. This situation, like I said, definitely changed my perspective given the other friends invited, but I wanted to make sure I wasn't making their wedding about me. They approached me after excluding me. So far people seem to agree, which I'm relieved about. Peony Pony says, not the a-hole. Jane gave you a bogus excuse. If your friends need someone to check up on their animals and property when they are on their honeymoon after a wedding you weren't invited to, they can ask another friend or family member. The audacity of some people astounds me. I'm a believer in putting the same energy into a friendship as you experience. And OP responds, I don't pretend to be super savvy about wedding etiquette, and I realize every wedding is different and lines have to be drawn about who can come or not. But yeah, my mutual friend reaching out to me to coordinate plans for our friend group during the weekend of the wedding to find out I wasn't invited definitely stung and felt awkward, and my friend was in disbelief as well. And ArgB says, not the a-hole. I had some minor feelings about being excluded from a co-worker's wedding and I'd barely have called her an acquaintance. I cannot imagine how hurt you must be by your friend's behavior. Not like it matters now, I guess, but does Jane secretly hate you? And why did she tattle on herself and make it worse? Oh, it was me who decided you cannot come because our friends' partners are more important than you, but can you make us feel better about our crappy behavior and do our bidding anyway? What a twist of the knife. And OP responds, I felt like I'd always been friendly and close-ish to Jane. Obviously, not as much as John. Just out of natural, I knew him first dynamics, but we got along. Additional information from OP's comments. I found out about the wedding because one of our mutual friends, who lives a bit further away, reached out to me to coordinate some plans and get-togethers around the weekend of the wedding, assuming I'd been invited since me and John were close. I've let him follow up with the others as I didn't want to interject so close to the wedding. I've tried to keep myself composed about this whole thing because I don't want it being twisted or blamed on trying to make this all about me. When I confronted John about me not being invited to his wedding, he didn't say much. There was some silence after I cut through his line of questioning. I said my piece about not being able to help if I'm not invited with our other friends, and out of awkwardness pivoted to the gracious wrap-up. There was a pause and sort of collecting himself, something like, thanks man, yeah, let's do that, before I decided to hang up. Hard to peg down, but I picked up on some regret in his tone. Also, I learned about an hour ago that one of my friends has already changed their mind about attending and informed John and Jane of that decision. And I suspect the favor is not even a thing he's considering anymore, given that he sent me a text that reads, I want to take you up on that drink tomorrow if possible. I want to apologize for my royal F-ups in person. Assuming the best outcome here, I don't think there's any quick return to the way it was, but it's good to see a bit of his old character in the text follow-up. Alright, so the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole and then Jane and John behaved poorly. And it sounds like John reached out to OP to talk face to face and apologize for what he did. So let's move on to the update to see how the story ends. Yesterday afternoon, a few days after John made the initiating contact that led to this altercation, he reached out by text telling me the following. I want to take you up on that drink tomorrow if possible and I want to apologize for my royal F-ups in person. I agreed to meet. After we kicked off with a round of shots, John's first line was that he failed me as a friend in this situation. With non-family invites, Jane apparently seemed very preoccupied with a philosophy of couples over singles at the wedding. John had previously voiced that he felt it was exclusionary and silly, but I guess Jane prioritized couples on the first round of friend invites and told John that it will be easier to fit in others after receiving RSVPs. John backed out and says he felt that going along with their initial plan of inviting the rest of our circle, who are, God bless them, coupled up, and not me, and had faith the RSVP thing would. She ended up using the bit of space to plug in some more family. John admitted he basically folded and felt ashamed enough that he could not find a way to tell me. He knew reaching out to me about that favor was a risk, but took it anyways because he wanted someone he could trust, and my response was a materialization of everything he feared would happen, and in his words, deservedly so. He told me a wedding should be a gathering of your family and company who have been a part of your lives and who you want to be a part of your lives, and I fit that bill to him by any measure. He said I've done more than most of the people on the guest list for him and his family over their relationship, including help making memories with trip coverages and helping build their back deck with him to share meals and host events over the last 6 years. He got visibly upset when he said, with the shot and the drinks we were sipping on kicking in, that he can't believe Jane even considered holding my single or dating status against me. He remembered that I got her home safely during a snowstorm earlier this year, and that he did not more adamantly confront that BS reasoning the instant she voiced it. He is even more pissed for Jane reaching out to me in the manner she did after my original phone call with him. John acknowledged it would come off as hollow at this point, but after a few exchanges with Jane, said there would be no more nonsense and I would at least get a proper invite and a +1 if I wanted it. He said that they would make it work if it was even desired by me at this point. He said he is not going to try to do panicked damage control, but will be upfront with our circle. One has already dropped the wedding, and I guess another couple has said something else by his reporting. Like he was with me for his faults, because he and Jane deserve the blowback and he needs to earn trust back, if it's at all possible. He also made it Jane's problem to find a friend who can come out 9 days in a row to care for the home and pets. With a smirk, he said she's having a hard time securing it and may likely have to hire help. I told John I really appreciated his owning up to this, and it was good to see the friend I had shine through here. I told him that I have always appreciated him and Jane's friendship, so it hurt when I was excluded and not even addressed. I felt that close enough anyways, and I obviously don't mean to complicate his wedding. I also said that I've always thought him and Jane were great for each other, earnestly. I have always supported them as best as I can, and I've been confused about what I have done or haven't done to be iced out. I also admitted it's hard to trust Jane again if she has been weighing the validity of my presence based on my relationship status, and added, with some humor, it's not like I haven't been trying and you guys haven't met some of my previous long-term partners. He said he doesn't get it either. He also said that Jane has at least one good friend who is single that she may have burned a bridge with as well over the wedding philosophy she had. I said the friendship is going to be changed and informed by this, at least very different for a while, and I know that you and Jane had a disagreement leading to this, but that I hope that the wedding goes on to be a good celebration. I informed him it feels best to take a pass on the invitation, but he said if there was a change of mind up to the last minute to let him know, which was kind and he wasn't desperate or pushy about it. John said the fault is his for not stepping up on my behalf, that he is sorry, and while he feels, I wouldn't expect otherwise and I agree, he is very lucky to have her in his life and thinks their marriage is a positive development for them. He even told her this whole situation will have him questioning and second-guessing her judgment on social matters with his friends for the foreseeable future. By his reporting, but a credit to their relationship, this was quite a blow to her to hear from him, but one she accepted and apologized for after their arguments about the subject. Before we parted ways in the parking lot, we gave each other a bro hug, and John's voice broke a bit when he said he is sorry one last time, and I think mine did too when I forgave him. It was legitimately surprising and therapeutic to have John be so frank and accountable, but not unlike the friend I've known for most of my adult life. It was bittersweet, being all things considered a makeup, but also a breakup of sorts to what was previously an unquestioned and assumed strong trust and camaraderie. Maybe we can get there again. It seems possible, and it'd be nice. I'm sitting here after weeks of big feelings, stewing on a different shade of big boy feelings now. OP's edit. I was happy for John to talk to me. Maybe commenters are right and they see me as something else than I thought we were as friends, and maybe I've got some work to do to assert myself and that I have been a doormat up to this point. I know I've got some soul searching to do about me as a person and how I see myself with John and Jane, and maybe my other friendships as well. This relationship felt a lot closer and authentic in a different time, but it's hard to paint a fuller picture of that after a situation like this. Things change. As tempting as it is to accept the invitation and be there for John, I think I trust my instinct to let this be, and if John meant what he said, and if Jane comes around, they'll make an effort to follow up. I will be putting some distance for a while, and time will tell. I'm glad we got a chance to talk because if it is the end, I feel good about giving him a chance to own it, and as I've gotten older, I appreciate the hard work of taking on uncomfortable stuff. I made some plans for that weekend with a couple other friends which I'm looking forward to. Thanks for your words and insights, Reddit. Well, OP, I feel like it's some sort of a bittersweet positive update. Bitter because, well, of course, the friendship was a little bit shaken or broken or maybe completely lost. But the good thing and the positive thing is that there was no drama. You guys talked about it. John owned up to it, you gave him the chance to do it, and you kept being gracious and open to the future. I'd say that's the best anyone can hope for considering the situation, so hopefully John doesn't give up on your friendship and does the follow-up like he promised they would. So on that note, take care OP and thank you for sharing. And now, let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance and it's by user BestCardiologist949. Keep my distance, no problem. When I was in college, I worked nights as a housekeeper in the local hospital. The hospital had a cafeteria that closed at 8 p.m. and a snack bar that only closed from midnight until 1 a.m. It was always a bear to clean, and the floors were the worst part. Once a week, some guys would come in and make the most amazing omelets. 10 times as many people came on omelet night and I couldn't start cleaning up until they left at 12:30 a.m. This gave me only 30 minutes to clean. To help me out, one of the floor crew guys helped me stack the tables and chairs, quickly sweep up the crap on the floor with his humongous dust mop, and then he drove his riding floor cleaner, we called it the Zamboni, and floors were done in 10 minutes. He didn't have to do this, and I was grateful every time he did. 2 years later, he retired and I got the job driving the Zamboni. I loved that job and was always ahead of schedule. Since that was the case, I decided to help out the new hire girl who was now in charge of the snack bar cleaning. We got along great, and I really felt like I was helping out. Boy, was I wrong. I'm a large man, 6'2" and 250 pounds. I'm also a combat vet, and despite being a big teddy bear, as my wife calls me, some people are intimidated by me. I get to work one evening, and my boss calls me into the office. It's the first time in 2.5 years that he ever has. He asks me about my relationship with the new girl who cleans the snack bar. I relate how I was always grateful when my predecessor had helped me with it, so I tried to pass it along. I asked why. She had filed a complaint against me for sexual harassment. I was stunned. This lady, who was old enough to be my mother, said that I sought her out every night and forced her to talk to me for 15 minutes or more every night, and she feared for her safety. It was inconceivable to me. She never acted at all intimidated, and our conversations centered around our jobs, kids, etc. Normal work talk. My manager advised me to stay away from her and not speak with her again. Cue Malicious Compliance. That night was omelet night. I usually didn't get one because I was always cleaning up after them and didn't have the time, but tonight I was famished and ordered 2. I sat there eating them with my trainer, who was a sweet old lady my grandma's age. I had, of course, bought her an omelet as well. We ate and got up just as the omelet guys were leaving. The place was a mess. On our way out, the new girl asked me when I would bring the Zamboni by to clean up the floor. I just kept walking as though she wasn't there. As I did, my trainer told her, "Oh, he's not allowed to do that for you anymore." New girl said, "But it's his job." That's when my trainer let her know in the sweetest old grandma way that it had never been my job, but instead it was just me trying to help her. Now, however, I was supposed to avoid speaking to her at all costs, so I would never be doing that again. I didn't stick around to watch her reaction, but my trainer said she almost cried when she told her, "What did you expect when you threw a good young man under the bus?" I learned a couple of weeks later that she was after my spot on floor crew and thought her accusations would get me fired. I ended up changing jobs 3 months later. I heard through my friends that she tried to get my spot on floor crew and made a big stink when she didn't get the job. She quit shortly after that. It still hurts my heart a little when I think that she would do that to a 23-year-old kid with a family. Thank God I had managers who trusted me. What an idiot, and good for you, OP, and having an awesome trainer who'd stood up for you and put her in her place as well for being an idiot. She got exactly what she deserved. Thanks so much for sharing, OP. Take care. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.